Hello, everyone. Welcome in. And it looks like the Thursday, Friday, Saturday slate of week one is in the books. We're going to go over some scores and some games and talk about that a little bit. And we have a couple of guests. And the thing about it is two of us got losing end of our week one contest. And that's me and exploring with Ben and Sam, our Oregon fan. And he's hiding his face. Huh. And then we have Jeff Grimm. Of course, he's an Alabama fan, and they never lose a damn game. So, let's start off. Let's just rip this Band-Aid off for me real quick, okay? And start off with West Virginia. That was an awesome game. That was an instant classic game, if you ask me. I mean, that really was. That was such a good game. Bryce Ford Wheaton, unreal how good of a receiver he is, and then drops that ball late in the fourth, and it goes right in the hands of a Pitt player. And you know something? I was there, and he intercepted that ball right in front of me and took off. That dude was fast. I'm gonna tell you right now, that I thought I was watching Tavon Austin run down the field. I swear he was that fast. That defender. So I went from that game had me up and down. I mean, I went from the highest you could be to the lowest you could be by the end for sure. Did y'all? I know y'all watched some of the game. Did y'all watch it all or just some of it, Ben?
I got about like 70, probably about 80% of it. The game ran longer than the recording, but it was and then I'd seen the score at the end, so I didn't go back and watch. But it was a good game up to that point. I mean, it was like back and forth. There were definitely your highs and lows, but then each team fought back. It was a good game. The atmosphere was really amazing.
Yeah, and but one other thing that upsets me too, and he's not in here yet, I don't believe, and he may show up, is that we had a bet with Talkers Pitt. Oh my gosh. So now
Talkers Pitt, yes.
Here's what I've got to do. I've got to create a shirt with the final score on it of that game and sell it in our store. And but it's only got to be there for 1 week. That was the bet. It's only got to be there 1 week. So I'm going to sell it in the store for 1 week, and I hope it doesn't sell any. And I wouldn't buy one because you never know what you're going to get when you buy it. Because I just got to put it in the store. It don't mean I got to send it to you.
Watch it's your top seller.
Yeah, probably. Jeff, did you watch the game? Did you watch it all, or?
I watched probably 80-90% of it. And I truly believe that it was one of those games. I kind of, at the end, I mean, I was rooting for West Virginia because you and Chris and them. But, at the end, I was kind of like, you know what? It's going to be sad whoever loses because that was such a great game by both teams. I mean, they both fought hard.
Yeah.
So it was one of them at the end. I kind of felt bad for whoever lost. And I really felt bad at that interception. I mean, because the game was going so well, and then to have that interception, that just, that sucked.
Yeah, it did. So West Virginia starts off 0-1. Pitt starts off 1-0. They face Tennessee next week. West Virginia faces Kansas. So I don't think we'll have any trouble with Kansas, although they were well improved last year and actually a pretty good team by the end of the year. And so, you don't know what you're going to get with Kansas. So, all right. So now that was game one, and game two kicked off an hour later, and that was Penn State and Purdue. And now, obviously, I didn't get to watch that game, and I haven't gone back and watched it either. But I heard that was just as good as the West Virginia Pitt game, just as exciting.
Yeah, that was another one of those. It sucked. At the end, you were rooting for both teams to win. I mean, because it was a great game all around. I mean, I felt sorry for Purdue. I really did. But, you got to take your hat off to Penn State. They did just enough to pull it out.
Thanks, Purdue, against screwing me in my picks this week. Purdue really screwed themselves in that game. Would Penn State have still won it? Yes, but Purdue really allowed them to have the opportunity. Even again, I think we said earlier. I was like, Brom went, "Hey Frost, I'm going to outdo you in my poor decision making and play calling." Who throws it for 7 to 8 consecutive pass plays with 3 minutes left and doesn't let the other team even burn a timeout? Who? When you're winning, like who does that? Like, but it was a really good game, and that was an amazing final drive by Penn State to take the lead. So props to Penn State for hanging in there and then getting the W out of it. But yeah, you saw that fan base just go. The entire fan base on that touchdown for Penn State at the end there, they all just died a little inside.
One thing about them two games, though, if you took the points, if you took West Virginia and the 7.5 and Purdue, and I don't remember what the line was on the Purdue game, but you won both games.
I think it was 3.5.
3.5. So, but I can't wait to go back and watch the Purdue and Penn State game. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's talk for a second. Rip your Band-Aid off now, Ben. What in the hell is wrong with Oregon? That I was looking. It looks like Georgia had 4 rushers that averaged at least 6.5 yards a carry. One averaged 8 yards a carry.
Yeah, it's not. I haven't looked at the official stat lines or box scores, like in the sense of those statistics. If you want, I'll do my hour review like I did yesterday for Mark Rogers post game by myself as a sad Duck fan, because I have 3 pages of notes sitting right here in front of me if we want to go over these. It was the defense was, I don't know what was happening with that defense. They were out schemed completely throughout the whole game. Like, they were out of either position or they were just 2 steps behind everyone the entire game. It didn't matter what Georgia did. There was no pressure. We missed the one potential sack we were going to get, and then Stetson still threw a touchdown out of the sack that we missed. It's like absolutely nothing went right yesterday, basically. Oddly enough, if anyone has known Oregon history, like with any Alabama fan, kickers have been our problem. And surprisingly, our kicker was the all-star. He actually kicked a field goal. So, when your kicker is the all-star, that's not a good thing. Yeah, that's not a good thing when he's the all-star. Yeah, I don't know. It was there were positives, but a lot of negatives. Something's got to get fixed or changed, or I don't know what it was. I can't. I'm not a coach, so I'm not going to.
Pretty obvious that Oregon's not the 11th ranked team in the country.
Not at this moment. No. Yeah, no, not at this moment. If they go out of the top 25 after this week, I won't be surprised. I don't think they will. I think they'll jump like 20 to 25 because you are playing Georgia on the road. It's not a neutral site. Let's not sugar that, But
that ain't a neutral site. That ain't a neutral site.
Yeah, we fell out of the rankings. I would not be surprised, and that's fine. We got our asses whipped. So luckily, Jeff, we guys don't have to face Georgia in the regular season. So luckily.
I do think, though, that in the first half, if you guys made a couple of those tackles, you would have stopped them a couple times. Tackling, I think, was one of the biggest problems with Oregon early on.
Yeah, the first half especially, that was highlighted on my notes, was 2 or 3 key missed tackles that they got like 5 extra yards and got first down. If we had stopped them right there or like on that sack instead of letting them get the touchdown then, it would have been a much closer game and a little more confidence. And I think that really just killed all the confidence for that team, no matter what you say. At that point, it was like, why are we doing this? The offense moved the ball. They just could never capitalize on any of the momentum they were building. So,
that was the other thing I wanted to say. You guys did move the ball really well, but it's like you guys would get 2 first downs and then a mistake. and that was the problem. You couldn't sustain the drive. You would start off well, get 2 first downs, and then something stupid would happen.
Yeah, I mean, our first drive, we got the ball first, and we got 2 first downs the first drive, and I was like, okay, I like where this is going. We did a run, up tempo, check down. We had a false start, 5 wide, chunk play, read option play, like all in the first 5 plays. I was like, I like this. We're throwing a bunch of stuff at them, but then it just kept stalling out, and I was like, and then 2 picks by Nix in the first half. First one. Just good play by the defender. That was like a punt. It was like a deep shot, 8-yard line. Defender had great inside movement, got the pick. Okay. Second one, he got greedy in a soft zone. Defender came up, picked it off. That was on Nix. But we didn't throw to the wide receivers hardly at all in this game. We threw it to the tight end a couple times. We threw it to Dakota a couple times, and a couple attempts of the receivers. Other than that, it was checked down to the backs again. I'm like, I don't know if that was just Georgia's defense, probably that was a big part of it, but we got away from the deep plays, which would have helped a little bit maybe. But oh god.
Ben, I'm gonna let you have the honor of reading.
I need to go back. I need to go back into my safe place.
Touchdown. Thank you for the $2 super chat.
The Oregon audition for the Big Ten yesterday, massive fail. Yeah. I don't think it's an audition because, I mean, if you want to look at what the Big Ten wants, they want market. So I have said it to Tony and Tim multiple times. They didn't take UCLA and USC because of their football record the last 10 years. They took it for marketing. That's it.
Well, let me say something on that, though. Was it a Big Ten failure? Because you look at how Nebraska did yesterday, how Iowa did, to me, it kind of looked like a Big Ten.
I wanted to go back and watch that game, but after seeing the score and listening to it, I'm like, I'm not even going to waste my time. I love Iowa football. Those games, no.
There is a bright spot. Ben, there was a bright spot, and that is that you didn't give up 40 points in one quarter to a team like UNC did with Appalachian State.
Well, I mean, Georgia could have put up more points. I mean, let's not sugarcoat this. That was just sportsmanship between Kirby and Lanning. He wasn't going to run up the score. I said this weeks ago. I was like, even if it turns into that situation, he won't run up the score just out of kind of respect. That's why they pulled Stetson out of the mid third quarter. They're like, "You're done. We're good. Like, don't worry about it." He wasn't going to run up the score on him. Out of respect. I appreciate that. Thank God.
We'll check the score there, Will. We'll check the score. So, all right. So let's talk about there's no need talking about Alabama and Utah State. And I'm gonna get Will in here, and we'll talk about the other game. But how about Utah and Florida? In the Pac-12 did not have a very good showing yesterday against Power 5 opponents. The Pac-12 did not have a good showing at all when it came to Power 5 opponents.
Well, they had a good showing. Well, Utah was right there. Why they didn't run the ball, though, in the fourth quarter there at the very, very end, at least once, I still don't know, and I don't know what he was trying to do, fitting it between 2 defenders and got picked off. The spread was what, 1.5 points? And they lost by 3?
I think it was actually 3.
I think it was 3.
I think it was 3. But to me, Utah did almost the exact same as they did in the Rose Bowl last year. I mean, they looked really well, and then down the stretch, they just didn't do what got them there.
Yeah. I just don't know
what they think were doing. Think about that, though. So with the West Virginia Pitt game, the Penn State Purdue game, and the Utah and Florida game, all were decided because of an interception.
Yep.
So Will, I'm glad you came in. Let's talk about let's see, what was you saying before this game? Let me think of what you said. Notre Dame will beat Ohio State's ass or something like. What was that?
I didn't say that. Okay, that's too. I said I think we have a great chance to win. I said we have a great chance to win.
Absolutely did say they would whoop that ass. That's exactly what Will said.
I thought it was. So Will, tell us what happened. Ohio State happened, didn't it?
Okay. Well, I thought our defense. I'm happy with the way our defense played, especially our line and our secondary. Our secondary, I was honestly worried about. But the offense, just too many. Like the play calling for me really left a lot to be desired. Because I really thought we should have thrown the ball more. I felt like we were beating, like especially on that first drive, that deep shot to Braden Lindsey, and then the deep shot to Lorenzo Styles. Those set up both of our 10 points off of big throwing plays. And then suddenly in the second half, we just didn't throw the ball enough. And we just like ran. Like there's one drive where we just had run, 3 and out. And I'm like, what are we doing? Why aren't we trying to be more aggressive on this defense? Like this isn't Georgia or Alabama's defense. This is a defense that we can go after. And we showed we could go after and have success in the first half. So
let me read this real quick and get it up. We'll read this real quick so I can take it off the screen so we can see you. Jimmy Touchdown, thank you for the $10 super chat. And he says USC padded its schedule with a Pop Warner team yesterday. The Rice running back was 4'9". What do you expect from a directional JUCO that lacks on an on-campus stadium and plays on a NASCAR track? We need Tim in here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Will. Thank you, Jimmy. Touchdown. We'll go ahead, buddy. I apologize.
Like I felt like their defense played well, as Brian Myers said in the chat, but I felt like we should have at least scored more than 10 points off of them. Like they weren't just completely just destroying our I mean, on the line they beat us more than I thought they would. Their D line would, but I felt like we could have definitely attacked their secondary a bit more. And then, like, I felt like if we would have attacked the secondary more, that would have also opened up the running game to have more success as well. So, just disappointing play calling by Tommy Rees. I'm not saying he should be fired right now, but if this is what happens in the season more, maybe we need to go get a new offensive coordinator.
And it's one game.
Yeah,
I'm not calling for anybody's. I'm not calling for anybody's head after one game, except for Scott Frost.
Well, we talked about this last night. We talked about this last night, Will, briefly. Sometimes in big games, head coaches and OCs overthink things. Like instead of just being who they are, they try to get like a little tricky or overcomplicate it, and just instead of running their normal game plan. For some reason, a lot of coaches do that, or OCs. I don't know why, and that might have been part of it. They wanted to like just try to be flashy and catch everyone off guard instead of just being their true identity.
mm-hmm.
And think about it like this, Will. If I would tell you before the game yesterday, Notre Dame was going to hold, Ohio State's offense to that many points, you would have been happy.
I thought we would have won 31-10. Yeah, if
you know,
31-21. Yeah.
But and also look at the rest of your schedule. If you played the way you played yesterday, who's going to have a chance?
Yeah. Jimmy
Touchdown for $2. Maybe Notre Dame will hire Neil Brown as the offensive coordinator. What do you think, Will?
Jimmy's on fire today.
I mean, I don't know. I think we can hire better options than Neil Brown as our offensive coordinator. No disrespect to West Virginia's head coach, but I think there's definitely better options in the market.
I think Brian.
Speaking of an old offensive coordinator,
do not.
Speaking of an offensive coordinator, what? And did anybody see the Houston UTSA game? That ended up Houston 24th in the country. A lot of people say they're the best team in the AAC, and they squeaked by 37-35 over UTSA. And people are saying, "Hey, this Houston team could beat West Virginia."
maybe UTSA is just still really, really good this year. I mean, everyone expected a drop off after last year, but maybe UTSA is really just that good. I mean, Houston last year was really good. They allowed Texas Tech to fight back in the fourth quarter to win when they were up big at halftime. And Texas Tech was nothing special. So Houston's maybe one of those slow starting teams. But UTSA might just be really, really good.
Well, they are. They're good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've called for the upset. I said UTSA would beat them. But I just get frustrated that everybody talks about how great Houston is right now under Dana Holgorsen. Yeah, they're not playing competition. You know, UTSA is a good team. Don't get me wrong. But you know, they're not a Power 5 program. And when Houston comes into Power 5, I think we're going to see a drastic difference in the play, and then how you know, they're not going to be able to hang with Power 5 programs week in and week out.
Well, again, I think that might have been the Houston Warriors game. Like last year, again, they lost to Texas Tech. They let them come back. This year, at least they fought back and then won it. So maybe that was the turning point for this team they needed. There are 3 of us that are 0-1 so far this season, so we can't, like, you know, gloat too much.
I won't.
Now, there was a game that
wound and tell you about Vandy being 2-0. You know, I won't mention that.
Yeah. So there was a game yesterday that kind of lived up to the hype too. It was a good game, and that was Arkansas and Cincinnati. Arkansas pulling off the 31-24 win. That was a good game though.
Yeah, Cincinnati might still be better than Houston this year. That'll be exciting if they play in the AAC championship.
Yeah, that was
again.
a lot better. That was a lot better game than I thought.
Yeah, I didn't think Cincinnati stood a chance.
Beat Pitt by 3 scores. I'm sorry, what was that, Jeff?
I didn't think Cincinnati really stood a chance, and I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with them hanging in there and, you know, playing as well as they did. I thought they lost way too much on that defense to really compete, and boy, I was wrong. That defense did compete, and, you know, that was a great game.
Definitely, I quickly switched over to it from the Georgia-Oregon game. I quickly switched to the Arkansas-Cincinnati game because I wanted to see actual competitive football.
I couldn't switch.
I'm going to drop a StreamYard link. And see if anybody wants to come in here and talk about their team or another team or how great they are, how bad, horrible somebody is.
Well, let's immediately go to, if we talk about bad teams, Virginia Tech.
Not good.
I picked Old Dominion. I did pick Old Dominion to win, but come on, man. Virginia Tech, you can't keep winning Old Dominion. I mean,
the fake field goal was just not. I mean, the field goal, not the fake field goal. The field goal that resulted in a touchdown for Old Dominion. That was not pretty.
But
the thing about it is, I looked at the schedule. I looked at their schedule real quick after that game to see what I thought Virginia Tech, if they kept playing like this, what they would do. I only found 2 games that they could win, and one of them was Duke, and the other one I got to think of who it was. It wasn't a
Georgia Tech
Power 5. No, it wasn't a Power 5. Liberty.
They could probably beat Georgia Tech,
and I don't know if they're going to beat Liberty. I don't know if they could beat Liberty. To be honest with you.
Whoa! Don't sleep on Duke either. They actually looked pretty decent in their other game, their opening game.
Yeah.
The other night. It wasn't a Power 5
I don't think Virginia Tech can sleep on anybody.
Well, what about
Virginia
next
Tech
week
can't
when they
sleep on
play
anybody.
Boston College? I mean, Boston College kind of fell apart against Rutgers.
Yeah, the Fighting Scarlet.
I'm going to tell you a funny story about that here in just a second. Jimmy Touchdown, thanks again for the $5 super chat. And he says, and this is true, he's right. Jacksonville State 2-0 start. Mark my words, in November, Rich Rod will have his pick of Power 5 jobs. Nebraska, WVU, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Is that Ohio State or Oklahoma State? And
I think
Florida
he thinks
State.
Days might be leaving to the NFL then. But it'll be fascinating if Rich Rod goes to Nebraska. Like, that would be fascinating.
Now this one I could see right here. This $2 super chat. Let me bring it up. Rich Rods of Virginia Tech. Pat McAfee, special teams coach. I think Pat McAfee makes a little bit too much money. I don't think Virginia Tech could afford to hire him. They're not going to pay him, $40 million to come there and play.
He's comfy on his YouTube streams too. He's more than comfortable making that money doing just talking.
Do West Virginia fans still like Pat Mack, even though he missed the field goal in the 07 brawl?
Dr. C, can you turn your camera on for me down there? I don't know who that is.
Oh, Dr. C. Yeah, he's a patron for Mark, actually.
Okay. Dr. C, can you turn your camera on for me for just a minute? You don't have to leave it on. Just turn it on for a second. Okay. All right. Give me a thumbs up there, Dr. C. I see you there now. All right. Thank you, sir. You can turn it back off. I'll bring you in.
This is the capsule check. I am not a bot.
Thank you, man. What's going on, man?
Hey, thanks everyone for being on tonight. I was just curious of some. I'm gonna go on some takes. Will, I'm really interested to think. How do you think the game would have gone for Notre Dame yesterday if Brian Kelly were coaching? How would it have gone?
We would have scored any. I think we would have gotten shut out. I don't think we would have scored any points.
Oh yeah.
I think it probably would have been the defense. Probably would have been pretty similar. But I think we probably or actually, I don't know. They might have scored more. They might have piled on more, but I don't think we would have had any offensive points.
Wow. And did you think that how much more improved did you think Ohio State's defense was compared to last year?
Oh yeah, I mean night and day, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we got killed in the trenches on defense when we were on offense, and I didn't think that was going to happen. So Jim Knowles, man, impressive job that he did with Ohio State.
So Jimmy Touchdown with a $2 super chat. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it. And he says, should Jimmy Touchdown call in? Give me an F in the chat.
I don't know if we want Jimmy to call in. I'm not sure.
That's what I'm thinking. Jimmy, we love you, but I never know what I'm going to get with you. I mean, you're like a box of chocolates, man.
Yeah, there's no filter, so you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Now I see Ben. Is he here or has he gone away?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay. Because I know he's Oregon fan, and another Pac-12. Well, two Pac-12 teams break my heart again. I'm a USC Arkansas fan, but to see Oregon just get destroyed. I mean, I honestly thought that they would make it competitive, and then for Utah, again, a Pac-12 team makes it competitive, but loses it in the end. It just seems like the Pac-12 can't win. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, for me personally, yeah, the Georgia one, trust me, again, we opened this. I had to watch it and then do a post-game show for it. That was brutal.
Yeah.
About it for an hour. Utah, they should have won that game. They should have closed it out and won.
Yeah.
And they made a couple really bad decisions at the very, very, very end of the game.
The thing about it is the Pac-12 has to depend on USC now, Ben. Don't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
And
go ahead.
Right. So I don't know. I'm not going to bet on USC having to hold the torch at this point. But yeah, it was not a good showing yesterday for the most part.
It kind of shows why USC left and UCLA left. I mean, not to.
That was just money. That was just money.
Well, and think about it, though. If Utah goes on a streak and wins the rest of their games, they still have a chance at a playoff. Because who knows, maybe Florida is better than what we're giving them credit for. That new coach down there, he's got a new system. Maybe Florida ends up second in the SEC East, and then that loss don't look as bad.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson looked really good. Maybe he's turned the page with this new staff and that style, that scheme. But also, people will give props to Utah for going to Florida. Likewise, if Oregon runs the table, God help me. If they do, they're going to give them credit for going to Georgia, basically a home game for Georgia, and getting stomped on. I mean, but yeah, it was not a good showing for the most part for Pac-12 yesterday. Thank you, Beavers, also
This
for
is
beating
true.
Oklahoma State.
This is true here. Jimmy Touchdown, thank you again for $5 super chat. He says, Jimmy T calling in. Can't be any worse than Rutgers punting on 4th and goal. Or UCLA drawing flies and hobos to its home opener.
Well, I heard there were only 2,500 people at UCLA yesterday. I don't know if that's confirmed, but that was the rumor. That's really sad.
Did Rutgers punt? I didn't watch Rutgers game. Did they punt on 4th and goal?
This was a while ago. I remember that happened, but it was like a few years ago. I remember they did punt on a 4th and goal.
Oh, okay.
So for the Pac-12, basically, I do think Utah still has a shot, but it's Utah and USC. I don't think anyone else in the Pac-12 has a shot to make the playoff. And that happened all by week 1. The Pac-12 after week 1 only has 2 teams that and we don't know about USC yet. We saw them play Rice. Now they put 66 on Rice, which granted, putting 66 on anyone is impressive, but it's Rice, right? So I think maybe week 2 we'll find out.
Well, then
so they're saying in the chat that they punted yesterday on 4th and goal.
Really?
Oh, but they were like the 35, 40-yard line, I think, weren't they? They got backed up by penalty or something like that. That's why they punted.
Yeah, okay, I thought that might have happened before, though, with another team, but I didn't watch any of the games.
USC, we'll find out a lot more about USC next week with Stanford.
I think Stanford can cause them problems, but I think USC, especially their defense, didn't look amazing. I mean, I only watched the beginning of the game, but their defense didn't look that great against Rice. Like, Rice kind of marched down and scored on the Trojans in their first drive. So, but I think USC will probably win a shootout against Stanford, is my guess.
Yeah, Rice's running game apparently was pretty decent. I didn't get to watch the game, but they had USC had 2 or 3 pick sixes, and they were all just like a little errant throws that got tipped and caught by the defender. So it wasn't even like great defense. It was actually more bad on the offense, but the defense capitalized. So that's important. So I won't downplay that. But yeah, next week, I think it's more like a 34-30 USC win at Stanford. Stanford causes everyone in the Pac-12 problems. We know this. If anyone who's a Pac-12 fan, we know Stanford is that, and then at the Beavers in 3 weeks.
Was there any other? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying if USC can overcome those 2 games, I think that will say a lot about USC.
Was there any other game that surprised you guys? I found the Oklahoma State, Central Michigan, shootout concerning. I found NC State, East Carolina concerning. Yeah. Was there any other ones that you guys found odd?
So as an East Coaster, I do follow the ACC. And I did not see Syracuse blowing out Louisville happening. That really surprised me. And that's really not good for Scott Satterfield's status. He's now firmly on the hot seat. And if they don't pick it up this year, he could be gone after the end of the year.
And see, that don't bode well for the ACC. So, I mean, look at how the ACC played yesterday. You take Miami out, and it was a terrible week for the ACC.
I said that yesterday during the NC State game.
Touchdown.
I got called cool.
Yeah. Jimmy Touchdown, thank you for the $2 super chat. And he said, I'd rather watch a Biden rally than USC football. And think about it is, if it was a Biden rally, there would be not very many people there like UCLA. So
he must be a UCLA fan. But I'll let you guys go. But thank you guys so much for having me on. I don't know if my apologies if you've already covered this, but tonight's game, Florida State, LSU, what happens tonight?
Yeah, Florida State with the upset.
I'm
Brian Kelly can't win another big game.
LSU by 3 because of home field advantage.
I honestly have no idea what to expect, but I know which team I will be rooting for, and that is the Florida State Seminoles tonight.
Yeah, and I would ask you about Clemson. Go ahead, Joey. Sorry.
I was going to say I would probably be rooting for Florida State, but I think LSU's going to win this game.
Oh yeah, I don't know why. I want a Florida State resurgence. It's good for football. Florida State, Miami, USC to Notre Dame, all these teams to be good. Yeah, but anyway, I would ask you about Clemson and Georgia Tech, but I think we all know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard there's more
Enjoy the rest of
Clemson
your
fans
night.
there
Keep
than
up the good
Georgia
work.
Tech fans, which is crazy. Like more Clemson fans bought tickets. That just shows the state of Jeff Collins' program.
I know the Georgia fans are probably asking for the return of the triple option. They weren't bad. Hey, at least if you're gonna be bad, you might as well be fun, right? So, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for the show. Enjoy it. Take care.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Thanks
Of course.
for coming in.
My pleasure. Thanks.
What was the final?
So
What was the final Syracuse score?
it's
Sorry, Joey.
Oh, the Syracuse score. I'm
Wasn't
trying to remember. Let me
34-7.
see if I can find it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it wasn't good.
I need to watch those highlights later. Thanks a lot, Louisville, again for screwing my picks this week. Apparently,
Well, for some reason, it's not listed. That score is not listed for yesterday's games for some reason. Yeah,
maybe because
was
it's
like
not
that,
top
something like that.
25.
But
anyway.
talk about that for a second, because I agree with him that Oklahoma State Central Michigan game, that is concerning. 58-44. Oklahoma State had one of the best defenses in the country last year. Of course, they lost their defensive coordinator, but how far do you drop off just because of that? And let me get these
Oklahoma
two
State
super
lose
chats
to
out of the
them
way.
in 2016.
Vanity Rose, thank you. Maybe. Vanity Rose, thank you for the $2 super chat. Big surprise was Arizona taking it to San Diego State. Yeah, that's a big surprise too. And then Jimmy Touchdown with another $2 super chat. Does Marshall wreck Notre Dame next week in South Bend? Well,
no,
they're in the
we'll be all right. We'll
Sun
be
Belt
good.
now. They're in the Sun Belt now, and they did pretty good yesterday. So
Yeah, we'll be all right.
I think it'll be the same thing. If we lose to Eastern Washington and Marshall takes the Notre Dame, next week we'll hit the panic button for both teams. Like you need, we'll be like,
Yeah.
Yeah. The Oklahoma State they put up a lot of points, so I don't know if that offense has improved or if Central Michigan's defense is that bad. But yeah, allowing 50 points to Central Michigan at home, that's not a good good indicator of anything. But we don't know what Central Michigan really is either. So, but I'm going to say that it's a step down for sure.
But you have to look at the Big 12 and the powerful offenses in the Big 12 that they are going to come in to play Oklahoma State now. If Central Michigan can put 44 on you, hey, there's some Big 12 teams that could hang 70 on you.
Now,
So
didn't Oklahoma
that
State
would be
have a
my-
big lead? Didn't they have a big lead in Central Michigan? They came back and scored.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't
didn't
know.
keep up with.
I think they were up like 24 points or something for a while, and then Central Michigan just like gnawed away at it. But giving up that many points still, I mean, that's again almost as bad as, not near as bad as App State getting 40 points in one quarter. But I mean, the point is they fought back. They were within, I think, a score late in the fourth. Like that's how close
And
they got.
you think about it, even if you are up by 24 and you put your second, third string in there to do the game, after you give up a score or two, maybe even two scores, you're going to put the starters back in to try to stop it. So, and they still scored a couple more touchdowns on them. So there's some concern there.
Oh, yeah.
So we talked a little bit about tonight's game, but did everybody give their pick? And yeah, everybody gave their pick because all of you said Florida State except for me and Ben. Now I'm curious about that because Florida State obviously, they're going to be a well improved team, but so is LSU, I believe, too. I really believe LSU is going to be improved this year. I think Brian Kelly's a good coach. Close your ears, Will. And so I think it'll be fine. Got another super chat. Jimmy Touchdown, boy, you're on fire today. Put my entire paycheck on Marshall against Notre Dame. Well, you could have just mailed that to me, and I would have covered it for you. So let's talk about some next week competition. All right, Ben, who's Oregon taking on next week?
Home against Eastern Washington, which is it's FCS, but it's one of the like top 10 FCS type teams. So it's not like a pushover game, you know.
Yeah. We know Notre Dame's taking on Marshall. So Marshall's in the Sun Belt now, and we know how good the Sun Belt is this year. After that, so then Jeff, who's Alabama taking on next week? Is it Texas?
We get a beat up on Texas next week.
Yeah, that's going to be the game right there to watch. That's going to be the game to watch. Because here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that the Alabama defense gets in there and just sacks their quarterback 10, 12 times, intercepts him a couple of times, runs it back for 48 touchdowns, and scores another 27 touchdowns on offense. That's what I hope. I hate Texas. But
if
I don't see Texas having.
Well, if D4 is in the comments, please leave the stream immediately because he's going to be very.
Yeah, I invited D4 in, but he didn't answer, and he probably why he didn't answer because he knew that I was ragging about this game that's coming up.
Now, the one good thing for
Jeff,
Texas is
Texas,
Alabama. You know, Nick Saban respects Sark, so I think it'll be kind of like the Duke Oregon game. You know. I think we're going to put the brakes on. I don't think we still want to show everything we can because we want to pound Texas A&M this year bad. I mean, we're going to do enough to win, but I don't think we're going to want to show all of our cards unless we absolutely have to. So I also think the 11 a.m. kickoff is going to affect Bama a little bit because, we don't like playing those early games in the heat. So I think we're going to play a few more people than we normally would, so that way we don't get the injuries, we don't get dehydrated, stuff like that. But I look at this game as, 42-10, 42-14, something like that.
Yeah. That's what I see too. I really do. I don't think Texas is going to be able to do anything. Again, there's a comment in the chat, and I had forgot about that. Oregon made Stetson Bennett look like Mr. Heisman. That's a walk-on. That's a walk-on quarterback, and he passed 378 yards, I think, or was it 378?
Yeah, no. And I commented this on the post-game show yesterday. I said by halftime he was like 18 of 21 for like 250 yards and 2 touchdowns and a running touchdown. I mean, if you wanted a Heisman game, like for statistic-wise, that was him. I mean, that's why I said I don't know what was going on with our defense. So if that's his Heisman game, well, he's in for a long season though. But yeah, to Jeff, I don't think people make the heat and humidity out to be more than it is. I've been in Alabama. I've lived in Texas for 13 years. There's not a lot of difference. It's very hot and it's fucking humid. Maybe the early kicks, but yeah. The one thing I will say, Bama will roll, but Saban will not run up the score out of respect for his former assistants. Just like yesterday, Kirby could have put 70 up on Oregon. He didn't. He chose not to because he's out of just respect. He was like, that's enough. Call off the dogs. Bama should roll this easily, though. I'm the same way. I'm about, 45, like 20, even 45-14, 45-20, something like that. They'll roll easily, though, in this game. Sorry, D4.
FSU 45. Thank you so much. Let's bring a super chat in here. Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, "Man, Jimmy, you're really confident about Notre Dame. They didn't look good yesterday. Yes, they will beat the herd, but I would not bet my paycheck on it. That's a very dumb statement. Go Mountaineers." Yeah, go Mountaineers. So the Mountaineers take on Kansas next week, and Kansas. Who the hell they play yesterday? Tennessee Tech, and they beat them 56-10. But they should beat them 56-10. Now they're going to come in. Now they got to play West Virginia, and we've seen West Virginia's got a pretty damn stout defense. I mean, that Pitt had under 80 yards. I think they had 79 yards rushing that game. Pitt did. So that's going to be, we've got a really stout run defense. Our passing defense, though, looked success. What am I trying to say? Horrible. Let's just say that at times. They look good. Yeah, they looked good at times, but then other times they looked like, oh my God, anybody can be able to pass on them. But now Woods, which is our lockdown corner, got injured in that game. I don't know how severe the injury is, and I don't know if he's going to be out any games. So that might be interesting. If he's out, Kansas could throw that ball pretty good on West Virginia next week. Let me get this super chat real quick, and I'm going to get y'all's thoughts on that game. Christopher Morgan, $20. Thank you for $20 super chat. He said, well, our defense showed up versus Ohio State, but our offense didn't. Don't forget, we were 17.5 dogs, and most Ohio State fans thought they were going to put 50 points on us. We just held number 20 to their slowest score of the year at home. Notre Dame will be fine.
Well, Christopher, I understand we'll be fine. We're going to be a good team this year, but I want to make the playoff this year. I feel like that should be and I feel like if our offense plays like that against Clemson, we won't have a chance. So, obviously we're going to be fine. We're a good football team. We're a top 10 team for sure. But, I think the goal for this team at least should be get back to the playoff. And, I don't think we looked like a playoff team last night. We didn't look like a unranked team, but, my expectations are pretty high for Notre Dame.
So you don't think Notre Dame's thinking, wow, the ACC don't look very good. We joined the ACC. We get the bye every year in the 12-team playoff.
So Jimmy Touchdown, thank you for the $2 super chat. And he says Kansas will win the Big 12. The coach got an extension. Hey, you know what? Lance Leopold is a good coach. Lance Leopold's a really good coach. I mean, honestly, they beat Texas last year. They nearly their last 5 games, they nearly won every one of them. They had West Virginia on the ropes. They had Oklahoma State on the ropes. They had some really good teams on the ropes last year. Kansas did. So if they've improved a lot, if the other teams haven't improved, Kansas is going to beat them.
Well, and the big thing with Kansas is last year they only had 61 scholarship players. So think about that. They now have, I don't know if they hit all 85 this year, but they're in the 80s, I know for sure. So, even that's going to help them. You're playing with 61 scholarship players. That's not good.
No, it's not. And in what hurt them was the transfer portal, because they had some coaches through 2012 to 2019 that built that program off transfers. And so that was taking scholarships up, so they would bring a player in for 1 year and he's a scholarship and then he's gone, and they wasn't building a program. And that's what happened to Kansas.
Well, I don't understand.
That was the same thing
See, and Kansas is the team that needed COVID. They needed their players to get that extra year, to keep them in another year or two. That really benefited Kansas big time.
Yeah,
is the game going to be in Mountaineer Stadium or is it going to be in Lawrence, Kansas?
I don't remember. I think it was playing them at Kansas this year.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we got to play at Kansas this year.
I will definitely say it.
No, you're at home.
Oh, are they on the road?
Okay,
they're at home.
I've been high on Kansas since
so
last year. So I don't want to understate to Joey. Don't underestimate. But Joey played Pitt, which did really good work with that play action. That's why Pitt was so successful throwing the ball. Those play actions compared to the run game were like very deceiving. Kansas is not that team, but if Kansas does compete really well against you guys, either Kansas is really good or I'd be concerned. But you won't know until after this game. But don't sleep on Kansas. They're that team that will come up and get.
Now the winning team, Pitt, they've got to play Tennessee next week. Does anybody give them a chance?
I'll give them a shot. I mean, they're playing at home. I think they have a chance. Like, I'm still pick Tennessee, but I think Pitt will keep it to like a 1 or 2 score game.
I'll be the biggest Pitt fan next week because I want Tennessee to lose every game every year by 50.
Well, yeah,
I'll be honest. I'd like to see Pitt beat them just simply because they beat us, and it'll make us look better, you know.
When the score of the West Virginia Pitt, you know, it's the rivalry. It's like we know this all the time. Jeff, you know this with Auburn. It doesn't matter what your team is. It's a rivalry game. Stupid stuff happens. Last year's game with Pitt and Tennessee at Tennessee was what
shootout.
Game? Like at the end, this game I could see it being this way, and Pitt has home field advantage this year. So I'm rooting for Pitt too. Tennessee needs to be humbled a little bit.
Got a super chat here real quick. If I can get my computer to work. Jersey Love 3. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, is it me where I feel like every year after week 1, if you're not the top SEC schools, every team is apparently overrated.
If you're not a top SEC school or you're not Ohio State, ESPN says you're overrated. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. And Christopher Morgan, thank you for the $5 super chat. And Christopher says, my big takeaway is that I think we have a playoff defense, and Marcus Freeman mentally got them ready. Better believe MF will have a talk with TR offense.
I hope so, Christopher. I hope so. I mean, I think we can definitely bounce back and like have a good season, but like I don't know, I'm still recovering from the game, so. But yeah, I definitely hope that's the case.
My computer is really stuttering and jumping around on me, and is that affecting? Am I okay as far as like when I talk? Are y'all hearing me okay? And
we can hear you okay. You like watching your video looks laggy, but your audio is fine.
Okay, let me just turn my camera off and try it that way because maybe it'll make my computer quit jumping. Because as I'm putting the super chats up, for some reason they're like jumping on my screen, and that's why I'm having a hard time reading them because they're just like jumping around. We'll try that. So, all right. So, any other game you guys want to talk about from yesterday or this past week, or maybe a game coming up this next week?
There's some good games coming up this week, especially for you, Joey, because you picked Kentucky to be number 1 or 2 in the SEC East, and they play Florida.
Right, and after Florida beating Utah, that game got a lot more interesting now to me. That's for sure. And
Kentucky didn't look great yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily pick Kentucky to win the SEC, but I did say I feel like that they're an upset away from possibly winning the SEC. I'm not winning the SEC, but if they can upset Georgia, they could end up playing Alabama for the SEC championship.
Do we want to talk about Iowa and South Dakota State at all?
Oh God.
And Jersey Love 3 $2 super chat. Says, oh, and by the way, I'm an Oregon fan, so this is every year.
Did you watch the Iowa game? Iowa had the ball every possession to start on like their own 40 or better. And they only got one field goal. I mean, all they needed was 20 yards a drive, it seemed like, to kick a field goal.
It was ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have to win by literally getting 2 safeties, that's how you win the game. That's not a recipe for success going into the regular season. Now, they may turn it around. They have struggled against, FCS teams before, especially good ones. They lost to North Dakota State before at home. But, that's not a good sign for that offense immediately this year. That's not a good sign.
Well, and unfortunately, they play Iowa State next week as their rival game. That's next week. So
I love it when they troll me. So Jimmy Touchdown, thank you for the $5 super chat. Marshall and Notre Dame will draw over 2 million viewers on NBC primetime next week. Marshall brings the entire state of West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, and Southern Ohio. Yeah, buddy, they're a juggernaut. Let me tell you, they are. They've got a following that's unreal. Wonder how many. I haven't seen their numbers yet. I'm wondering how many viewers watched the Backyard Brawl.
Oh, a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It was a Thursday game almost by itself. I mean, so yeah, I'm sure it got huge views for a kickoff, week.
Yeah, because they had the time, the first hour was pretty much all by themselves. The Penn State game was an hour later. So I bet that first hour, I bet you drew, probably 70% of all football fans.
Even if people weren't football fans, they probably still clicked on to see like, oh, it's football season. Cool. I mean, because they were by themselves pretty much. It had to have gotten like stupid numbers.
So Jimmy Touchdown says Marshall to the ACC. Yeah.
Now, yesterday, do you
now
think
you know something that Marshall could.
Do you guys think Scott
Marshall's
Frost tried to
program
get
that
fired yesterday? And they
I mean,
went into
possibly.
half and said, we're not going to give you the extra 7.5. You're here until October, so just go out and finish the game.
Possibly, yeah. You never know, man.
Yeah, the buyout's the only reason I think he's still there, to be honest, after that first game. They're waiting for that to drop. They're just like, well, we're going to lose these games anyways. Either we're firing you come mid-October or you just stay the rest of the year, but you're done, I think, at this point. Because North Dakota's not a pushover team. It's not North Dakota State, though. But you shouldn't be at home winning to them by, 17 points?
It'll be fascinating to see that Georgia Southern game. Clay Helton could take it to them, man.
Well, and who do they play next week? Oklahoma?
Georgia Southern. Yeah, Georgia Southern.
They got Georgia Southern before
Manny.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
The return of Clay Helton.
I don't know if this is true or not, but let's put this up here because Manny, I asked the question and Manny went and got the answer for me. Manny C says Penn State has 3.5 million viewers and Backyard Brawl 3.1 million. That sounds low. That sounds a little low to me.
That would kind of surprise me because I figured more would have watched the Backyard Brawl just because they were getting ready for the Penn State game, something for an hour to warm up and then go over to it.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds really, really low.
That's still not bad numbers, but I mean, I get it. Yeah, Penn State has the name, it's the brand or whatever, but yeah, it seems a little low. I would have thought the numbers would have been higher, especially that first hour at least would have been like. And plus, it was a good game. So
the line on tonight's game, LSU, the line's moved. LSU's a 4-point favorite now.
Oh, I might bet that cover. Although I've already made $12 this week, I probably shouldn't. I probably should just keep what I have.
Value meal, here you come.
Don't get greedy,
You can.
I'm not going to be greedy. I'm going to stay off.
No, I think 4 points is reasonable. I think, like I said, I think it's LSU by a field goal at home because we don't know what until Florida State actually can prove that they can win a game, I'm not sold. And LSU new staff, knew everything, but the home field advantage, I think, is that 3-point favorite. Most people say home field is like a touchdown favorite or plus. So by 3 to 4, I think is very reasonable.
But does Florida State have any advantage because they played last week? And they kind of got the rust out a little bit, because they always say you get your biggest improvement between game 1 and game 2. So they've already got a game under their belt. Does that, kind of negate the home field,
But that also help LSU scout because now they've seen a little bit of game tape, even maybe they didn't put out a lot of, fancy plays or trick plays or whatever, but they've also scouted going, okay, this is their formations they like to use and whatever. So, and Brian Kelly Will, cover your ears. He's a good coach. I mean, you can't deny his record. I mean, he's a good coach. We just don't know what he'll do at LSU. But I think the Swamp or Death Valley, I think, is the home field advantage. That's the difference in the game, really.
Yeah, I never understood. I really never understand Will saying that Brian Kelly's a bad coach. I think he's a great coach. I really do.
I mean, he's not a bad coach, but he held Notre Dame back in recruiting. And then some of the position coaches I hired weren't good.
You said, and your words were, he's a loser. He will always be a loser, and he's going to LSU to make them losers now. Isn't that what you said? So Jimmy touchdown.
Like he has a loser mindset. He's like, "Oh, we can't win. Like we can't win a national championship at Notre Dame." Like he's like, "I took Notre Dame as far as Notre Dame as it could be, but clearly that's not true with the recruiting that's going on." So.
But the biggest problem with Brian Kelly,
agree.
I think, is going to be true at LSU. He doesn't develop quarterbacks. And besides Joe Burrow, who was a transfer, who has LSU had as a quarterback? They get 5 stars all around, but they don't get that quarterback. And Brian Kelly is not really known for that.
That's also on the QB coach and offensive coordinator, and that's also Tommy Rees. And he was a quarterback at Notre Dame. So that's also kind of on him. It's not just Brian Kelly. I mean, and then Mark, if it's, the OC/former quarterback didn't, develop this person, well, Marcus Freeman kept that person as the OC. So that could just also be bad decision-making overall. It's going to be interesting to see. Maybe, like you said, Brian Kelly he got kind of stale at Notre Dame. He needed a new start. Notre Dame needed a new start, just like LSU needed a new start. And everyone's going to thrive from here on out. But everyone needs a fresh start sometimes, like players even. So coaches do too once in a while. So
Jimmy touchdown. I'll tell you. He says that Pitt, had no fans watching the game. All of them were WVU fans. All 3.15 million. And that might be true because Pitt don't have a lot of fans, and I think they were all at the stadium, so they may not have been watching it on TV.
All right, where's Talk is Pitt? I'm getting them in this call right now. This is getting out of here.
But I will say this: I don't know where they came up with those numbers that 60% of ticket sales were Mountaineers and stuff, because there were more Pitt fans there than West Virginia fans. But I will tell you, we had a really good showing. We probably had 30 or 35,000 seats there at the stadium. So
yeah, you text me earlier in the day and we're like, hey, it's like 65-70% West Virginia fans, and then the game came on. I was like, Joey, where did you get these numbers? Because I'm like, it was at
tailgating. At tailgating, you would see 3 or 4 West Virginia tailgaters, and then you'd see a Pitt tailgater, and then you go and see 3 or 4 more West Virginia, and then you see a Pitt one. So being outside the stadium, everyone you see had a T-shirt on that said "Eat shit, Pitt." And you did see a lot of T-shirts that said 13-9. Because that was the score when they knocked us out of the national championship. So let's go. I got 2 more super chats here real quick. Let's bring them up. Christopher Morgan, thank you so much for $10 super chat. He says, I was at the game in Columbus, and I have to say that it was really cool from some Ohio State fans to invite me to some local bars after the game to have some beers. Made new Ohio State friends. They were top class. Yeah, you know
Awesome.
something. I met some really cool Pitt fans too at that game. At the game, and I think it's good that fan bases are getting along, but they'll talk trash to each other, but still get along.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah,
And
I mean, there's a
Jimmy,
lot of trash talking on Twitter and on Mark's chat with Ohio State
So-
fans too.
I'm gonna let you read this one. Will, go ahead.
Bryant BK at a football first school equals natty. LSU's so committed to football it goes library for a lazy river for the LSU football team. I don't know. I don't think Brian Kelly's going to get the best out of those players. It might just be me. I don't think he can get the best out of the players that he has on the team. And they're probably going to be less talented than the Notre Dame football players too. So,
J Dub, can you turn on the camera for me just a second, buddy?
Yeah, this first season will be very interesting to see what Brian Kelly does. The FSU game will be a little bit of a learning curve on his end with his players and his new scheme and staff, but it's going to be interesting. I am curious to see what LSU will do.
And it's hard to coach LSU and not win 8 or 9 games a year. I mean, you got to be really bad to coach LSU and not win 8 games. I mean,
that or you're getting fired.
Yeah.
J Dub, can you tell me why Texas is going to beat Alabama next week?
No, I can't.
Fair enough.
I'm here to take 2 bites out of the crow regarding the backyard brawl. Number one, I have to confess that I was very impressed with JT Daniels. I thought the guy, his deep ball flutters, and is going to he's going to throw some picks throwing the ball deep. But inside of 25 yards, he's got a laser, and it's accurate. It's not his fault that the guys can't catch it. I was impressed with how quick he got rid of it and his accuracy. And number 2, there's no way that stadium has ever been as loud for a Steelers game as it was for that game Thursday night. I mean, that you want to see the difference between a college game and the pro game. I mean, you can put the AFC Championship game in there and compare that noise level to the backyard brawl, and the backyard brawl would win it. I mean, that crowd was insane.
Yeah, it was loud. I couldn't even hear the announcer. I could and then the referee would make a call or something. Half the time, I didn't know what the call was. I know I'd see his hand signals and would know it's a personal foul or holding or whatever, but you couldn't hear him. It was a loud stadium, that's for sure.
Yeah,
was you impressed by West Virginia any other than JT Daniels? About our defense, sacking Slovis 7 times. He had seven sacks and 7 hurries.
I'm like, okay, West Virginia is a 7-5, at best 8-4 team. Nothing I saw changed my opinion of West Virginia. There's no way in hell this is a 10-win team. There's no way they're going to win 9. If they get lucky, they're going to win 8. They're playing an emotional, geeked-up game, high emotions. Let's see what happens when everything calms down. I still say, I'm saying the same thing to West Virginia I'm saying to Arkansas. Hold your horses. Come see me at the end of October. Until the end of October, I don't want to hear it.
My pick was 8-4 for this season. So I agree with you. I mean, now I had us beating Pitt, but after watching that game, I don't have us losing to Oklahoma State anymore, especially after watching Oklahoma State yesterday. So I don't have us losing that game anymore where I had us losing originally. So I think it's still going to be an 8-4 season.
Well, I was at Iowa State, Southeast Missouri State. I watched Hunter Deckers, our new left-handed sophomore quarterback, coming in for Brock Purdy, who made the 49ers roster. Deckers went 23 of 30, for just under 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. 3 of them to all Big 12 wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson. A 42-10 boring game, very boring. Crowd kind of like yay, kind of yay, milk toast crowd. Biggest reaction from the crowd came when they kept announcing the updates to the Utah and Florida game. The crowd seemed to be very interested in that. And the laughter that was coming from the student section as they continued to update the debacle that was Iowa, South Dakota State.
Yeah.
Here's how rare that was.
Mm-hmm.
In case you don't know this, that's the first time since 2000 that a team has won a game with 7 points, and it was not with a touchdown. And for quite a while, the score was 5-3. Had it finished 5-3, the last time there was a Division I 5-3 final was Arizona 5, Iowa 3, in September of 1980. So that's how rare what was happening in Iowa City was. And every time they announced the score, two times when they updated the score, I just happened by chance to be standing in front of the ISU student section, and they started laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I got a question for all of you.
I'm watching 42-10, and it's not really that great a game. But thank God I'm not over in Iowa City watching that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for everybody, and this is a legitimate question. After watching Oregon State beat Boise State yesterday, is Oregon State the best team in the Pac-12 this year?
That's a tough one.
It's early. I don't know if I can make that judgment yet.
Yeah, it's too early. We don't know what Boise will be this year, but they look good last night, and they've been improving, under Jonathan Smith. So I'm not going to say that Oregon State will be bad. They're going to be a good team. They're going to fight hard. So everyone needs to watch out for them, especially USC playing them at home in a couple weeks.
See, I still got Utah. I mean, I know Utah lost to Florida, but I still think it's Utah's to lose.
Yeah, if I had to put money on it, I'll go with Utah.
Jimmy Touchdown, thank you for the $5 super chat. And he says, Rich Rod, first WVU hire. Tony Altamore is associate head coach for PowerPoint slides. That's perfect. And then we're not booting JW. Love JW. Thank you for the $5 super chat.
I'm still inclined to think that Utah's the best. I think that Utah's probably still the best team in the Pac-12. Now, I do have to ask, because I saw the article, but I didn't open it and I didn't read it, and I didn't see any of the highlights, so I don't know the answer. But apparently UCLA set a record for lowest home attendance ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did see a picture, I did see a photo of the Rose Bowl, which looked like it was taken like Wednesday afternoon when nobody was in the stadium.
California. If you look at USC attendance and UCLA attendance for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been so down. USC fans, with all due respect to Tony Altamore and Tim Prangley, the USC people have come out of the woodwork all of a sudden because of Riley. That's about it. Other than that, they buried their head in the sand and prayed for it to end under Clay Helton. So I think that's kind of what. And UCLA is just not. They're more basketball. They're just so fair weathered, unfortunately.
They were out at the beach.
In all due respect to Tony and Tim, I have always been of the opinion, and this goes way back to when I was a kid. This is a 40-year opinion that USC fans show up when the game is an event. They're California fans. They want to show up when it's the place to be, so they can be seen being there, as opposed to Big Ten and SEC fans who show up to the game because they show up to the game. USC fans show up because they want everybody to know that they were there.
Yeah, see, I always said that Matthew McConaughey, he's on Texas sideline, whether Texas is 1-11 or 11-1, where, like you said, you know, the big stars of the USC fans, they show up when it's a big game or when they're, you know, on a roll.
I mean, it is LA. So, I mean, again, in defense of, you know, both schools, there's so much more going on. You have pro teams.
Yes.
You have all this other stuff you can do. So unless your team is winning or there's some spark of interest, it's hard to go. It's not a college town like Tuscaloosa, Eugene, Big Bend. Right. You know, it's not a Morgantown. It's not a college town. It is a city. You know.
That's what I was going to say. I'm gonna read your super chat here real quick, and that's what I was going to say. But he says UCLA were using hobos as seat fillers yesterday, and you know the thing about it is there's so much to do in California, and it's not like you say. It's just not a college town per se, like it is in at Alabama or Morgantown or somewhere like that. So, you know, people they have lives and they have busy lives out there, and so, you know, they just don't get to go to the games that much. Hopefully, since Lincoln Riley is at USC now, they'll fill that stadium, and you know, especially the first few games anyway. So,
on the other hand,
your thoughts on William and Mary stomping UNC Charlotte. I didn't even know that. That would be my thought on it. I didn't even know it. But congratulations to William and Mary.
I know someone in my high school went to William and Mary. He played. I don't know, but I don't care that much.
Well, thoughts on Navy losing to Delaware yesterday?
It's sad. More sad for Navy.
Yeah, someone said I was trash talking the service academy. I'm like, I'm a veteran. I root for all the Navy academies unless they're playing Army, but that's abysmal. No one should ever lose to Delaware. I'm sorry.
We know. Here's something we know. We know that Appalachian State.
Let me ask you this.
State's a great team. I want to ask you something, J-Dub, just a second. We know Appalachian State's a great team. We know this. We know they can upset people anytime. We also know that Old Dominion is a pretty good team too, and now they've beaten Virginia Tech 2 out of 3 years. So, are the Group of Five? Some of the Group of Five teams, are they starting to catch up with Power 5 level, whereas Virginia Tech fell off the face of the earth as far as, you know, playing these teams, and UNC just got the bad luck of the draw yesterday.
Both?
J-Dub? Both?
Well, I don't know. What I was gonna ask is, what's the deal with Mac Brown? Did you see any of the post game stuff where Mac Brown and the North Carolina kids were dancing and celebrating in the locker room? You just gave up 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to Appalachian State. Okay, Appalachian State. Who? You're North Carolina. Okay, you should be stomping North Appalachian State into the mud like a worm. You just gave up 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. You're lucky you had to have 2 great breaks to survive, and you're dancing like you just won the Hula Bowl. What was up with that? And was there anybody luckier in the country yesterday than North Carolina State? Can you think of anybody who was luckier than North Carolina State?
Not yesterday. I can think of a team Thursday night that was real lucky.
Maybe Iowa with 2 safeties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both those
Give me
games.
touchdown. Thank you for the $2.
Sorry, go ahead, Joey.
Go ahead, Ben. Okay.
No, go
Give me
ahead.
touchdown. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Appalachian State would crush Iowa and Iowa State, J-Dub.
They probably beat Iowa.
That probably would be by Iowa. I don't know about Iowa State.
Yeah.
They would
I
be
No,
Iowa-
you gotta understand, Iowa State's 3-3-5 is perfectly designed to stop exactly what Appalachian State does. And that 3-3-5 messes with people. Iowa State has taken 3 of the last 4 against Texas, 2 of the last 3 against Ohio State, 2 of the last 3 against Oklahoma State. They're an odd duck defense that you don't see all the time. And when they've got it going, when they got it going, they're tough to beat. When they don't have it going, when they get more than a touchdown behind, then that's when they lose. That's why they're a 7-5, 8-4 team, because their offense can never keep up. But the trick with somewhat Iowa State, but the real trick with like Iowa, we're laughing at Iowa. But the thing about Iowa is Iowa wants to play and they're better at ugly than you are. If they get into an ugly game, their ugly is uglier than yours, and they'll win. But if you turn it into a football game, they can't win.
Iowa's just that weird team. Always good defense. We know that.
Yeah.
But their offense is always like 50-50. They'll have that game like yesterday, and then next week they'll score like 50 points. They're the
Somehow they
check
scored.
of college football.
Somehow they scored 50 on Maryland last year.
Mm-hmm.
They've blown out Ohio State.
All the teams in the Big 12.
Well,
All
Iowa
the teams in the Big 12. Iowa State is the one. Iowa State's the one that I hate to travel to. I hate when we have to go on the road and play Iowa State. We just can't play there very, very good at all. I mean, 2018 will show you that, because we had pretty good talent, Will Greer and everything, and we were undefeated when we came into Iowa State in 2018, and Iowa State just beat the mortal crap out of us. What was the score of that game? 42-10 or something like that. It was bad.
I think it was 34-10. Last 2 years ago, it was 42-6. Iowa has a. I can't believe I'm talking about the Hawkeyes, but the only reason why I bring it up is because maybe now somebody will pay attention to this guy. Iowa has a senior middle linebacker, 6'5", 250 pounds. He's a tight end, 6'5", 250 pounds. Where's number 31, Jack Campbell? He led the entire country in tackles last year with 140. He had 117 tackles as a sophomore. He had one of the safeties yesterday. He's a great All-American player. So that would be,
Dang, go. Hold on there, J-Dub. Wow. Woo. That was loud, man. Oh, wow. Let me read the super chat real quick. Vantage Rose, thank you for a $2 super chat. I'm a UCLA fan and heat wave in Los Angeles, so I watched it at home. Hey, that's true. I forgot about that. I mean, it is hot. It is hot. It was hot at Pitt the other day. Sorry, JW. Is it gone now?
Yeah, no. I just wanted to say that, there's that was a player that deserves some attention. And the other thing I want to say is, damn it. That's my reaction to what happened in Atlanta. Damn it.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about that anymore. We're done with that conversation. Yeah. As for Iowa, also another damn it though for Iowa. The Charlie guy transferring to Purdue from Iowa, that receiver, he got targeted like Charlie Smith, I think his name was, wasn't it? He got targeted like 25 times, 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Iowa has got to be going, what are we doing? You have a like that?
Jimmy Touchdown says to help him. He's falling and he can't get up. J-Dub. And let's see, we got another super chat here real quick. The Real Hayden, $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says Matt Campbell, Scott Frost, PJ Fleck combined 0 for 20 against Iowa for the record.
That's
Scott Frost
absolutely
was the
correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's
PJ
absolutely
Fleck is
correct.
who,
Matt.
really?
Yeah.
PJ Fleck hasn't beat him?
No.
No,
Damn. I
no.
was like,
Wow.
Iowa keeps winning the pig. They play. Iowa and Minnesota play for a great big bronze pig called Floyd of Rosedale. That's their trophy when the two of them play. And I think Iowa's won the pig like 4 years in a row. And Matt Campbell is 0-5 against Iowa. He has not beaten Iowa.
This year's got to be the year.
It's a rivalry game though with Iowa State, so you never know what will happen. Like we talked about earlier, you just never know. But that's an impressive record to say that no one has beaten Iowa out of those coaches at all. That's actually shocking.
Well, I'll tell you what happened with the Iowa State game last year was kind of replayed in the Iowa game yesterday. 5 times in the Cyhawk game last year, and 4 times against San Diego State. So that's 9 times in 2 games. 9 times. Iowa's Australian punter, Troy Tucker, has knocked the ball out of bounds or had the ball down inside the 10-yard line. That's 9 possessions against the opponent where they're going to start inside their own 10 because your punter can knock the ball out in the coffin corner down there like that. That is a major weapon if you're playing good defense because you're just strangling the life out of the other team.
Tim,
Hey,
will
Vanity
you read the
Rose.
super chat?
I don't want to hear of Vanity Rose. Those sirens were for Oregon. No, they weren't. They were for California. I don't need to continue to talk about that game yesterday. I'm still in recovery mode. I need my therapy.
I did hear on a couple of streams, in case you're not aware of it, I'll bring it up because you guys might not know it. But did you know that Michigan has already won the Super Bowl?
Already won the Super Bowl, huh?
They've already been declared college and professional national champion. Michigan fan base they've already said it. They've already declared it.
Yeah, John, One Scoop John has already declared Michigan the national champions. I think after yesterday. Yeah. I think he also did.
So I got to tell you a story that's happened to me yesterday. So I wasn't sure who Miami was playing. I had no idea, and I was sitting in my chair, and my wife was going through some scores on her phone. She was looking at scores, and she said, "Holy shit, Miami's killing somebody." And I said, "Who is it?" She said, "I don't know." She said it was 60 to, I think she said it was 60 to 10 or something like that. And I said, "Well, who are they playing?" She said, "BC." I said, "Boston College?" She said, "I guess." I said, "I didn't think they played Boston College week 1, and they're beating them that bad." Holy shit! Traveling Fools is right. They're going 118-0 this year. But they were playing Bethune-Cookman or something like that. So, but that was kind of funny. I thought it was Boston College because I didn't know who they was playing, and so that was funny. But
key point is that's how they should beat Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah,
that's exactly how they should beat them. And I mean, but you look at the stats. TVD, Tyler Van Dyke didn't throw the ball much. He didn't have to probably, but still, I mean, it's like that. But that's how they should beat Bethune-Cookman. That's exactly how that should happen. So good for Miami.
Yeah,
right.
But let me ask you, what happened? What happened to Bo Nix there, Ben? You may have touched on it earlier, but seriously. But he's supposed to be like fantastic and just going to be y'all's savior.
No, that was never the thought process. It was just, hey, Bo, don't fuck it up. Sorry for the language, but just don't mess it up. Just don't mess it up. Well, again, I talked about it. Yeah, the first pick, I'm not going to put on him. That was just a great defensive play. It was a shot pass. It was like a punt, basically. defender just got inside leverage, made a good play. Second one, yes, in the first half. The second pick, terrible. And then what he did at the end there on like a Hail Mary, he ran around and just threw it away. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't stop. Just throw the ball in the end zone. At that point, does a pick matter? No. So I don't know what was happening there. Yeah. Like, okay, decision making, but I think a lot of it was also the Georgia defense. They just did not allow.
Well, guys, let's wrap this up. Show up. Let's wrap this show up and stuff. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. And it's always great to come on here on Sunday and talk about the games. But now we get to get ready for Florida State and LSU tonight, and then tomorrow night with Georgia Tech's going to do some pull an upset tomorrow night. And Sea Dog says so anyway, right? Will, you want to give us the final word there, buddy?
College football is back, and the pain of losing is real.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for being here, Will. J-Dub?
Yeah, hooray that we finally got games to talk about instead of speculation and realignment and playoffs. We're talking about games, and so we can have our massive negative overreaction and our massive positive overreactions. Now we're finally into the season. Here we go. And Jeff and I can just sit back and be nervous every week and just go, okay, that's another one. Okay, that's another one. Okay, that's another one. Click, click, click. Just, I don't care what it looks like. Just click, click, click. Thanks for having me in, Joey.
Have a good one,
Thanks,
J-Dub.
J-Dub. Thanks for being here. Speaking of Sea Dog, I just got a notification that he just went live. Just let everybody know if you're looking. And X Wing Sports is live as well. Jeff Grimm?
I wanted to give two real quick. The first one, I want to remind everybody, join Patreon. Joey does a good Patreon show every week, and there's a lot of perks to joining Patreon. And you can do it for as little as, what, $2?
$2, right. $2 a month.
And the other one I want to give a shout out to is to Vanderbilt. Who would think that Vanderbilt was set on top of the SEC East after 2-0? And actually, they play Wake Forest this week. So without their quarterback at Wake Forest, that might actually be a pretty decent game. So, I'm pulling for Vandy. It's always nice to see, Vandy do something. And, hey, I am great and happy that, football is back. Thanks for having me, Joey.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for being here, buddy. Let me answer a question over here in the comments. So they're asking when we will be back. We do a show every Sunday. We do it every Sunday around 2 or 3 o'clock. And we come on and we just run down the games from the day before. And if there's any games that are still coming up, we'll talk about those too, just like we did today. So we'll do it every Sunday. We have a different panel on every Sunday. So, Ben, what's going on, man? You got any final words?
Let's go Vanderbilt.
Yeah, become fans of Vanderbilt now.
Let's go Jayhawks. I'm gonna root for every underdog this season, as always. But Duck fans will recover. So week 1 is out of the books almost.
You'll be.
We have great games to talk about coming up, and it's good just to not have to.
You got to remember who you played.
It's just good to have new games to talk about. So we're not living last season, and like we have been for so long now. It feels like so. It's going to be exciting. Win or lose, let's go Ducks. Hey Joey, I'm going to drop my link in your chat here, but
go ahead.
I appreciate you for having me on. Everyone, check out my link if you want to. But go Ducks.
Hey, make sure and check out Exploring with Ben and Sam. He's got a great channel, and you uploaded a video today. I haven't got to watch it yet. I've seen that a video came up though.
I have.
What was your video? Well, it came up and told me that. Well, maybe it was a social media thing that came up. I'm sorry, but yeah, everybody check out Exploring with Ben and Sam.
But thank you, Joey, for having me on. Thanks, GBD. Let's get some football going. Loving it.
Heck yeah. Couple more hours, man. All right,
I have
thanks.
to go.
All right, guys, that will wrap up our show, guys. We appreciate everybody coming in. Appreciate all the super chats and everybody that was here. Like I say, I just got a notification that Sea Dog went live and X-Wing has gone live. X-Wing Sports. So if you're looking for a place to go and talk some more college football, check them out. Once again, thanks for being here, everybody, and we will see you next Sunday night. Join Patreon, and we'll do a show on Thursday night as well. So, all right, guys, we'll see you later.